evening, everybody. We come to the last session, and definitely there is a lot more in store for you. Yesterday, those who heard the panel discussion in Hall B, you must have got a curtain raiser of what is coming. So he has promised to tell us the therapies today, and so let us go straight away to the session. Dr. Deepak Jumani is a consultant sexual health physician and counselor. He is a consultant to Mumbai Police. He is a diplomate of American Board of Clinical Sexology. He is a fellow American College of Sexology. He is the president of Indian Association of Sexology Mumbai chapter. He is the editor of Indian Journal of Psychology. He is a fellow of the Indian Academy of Medical Specialties. He is ACCT certified sex therapist. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for that sexy introduction. At the outset, I thank my friend Jyoti Dev for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts, concepts, views, and passion.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
I thank my teachers, Padma Shri Professor Dr. Shashank Joshi, Dr. O.P. Kapoor, and Dr. Prakash Kothari, and I beseech them to bless me always. This is a talk about erectile dysfunction, may contain potentially naughty images, so please. In this next 30 minutes, I'm going to talk about why worry about erectile dysfunction. Is it really a boon? What are the treatments available for erectile dysfunction today? And what are the newer treatments available or will be available? And what is an ideal for a diabetic having erectile dysfunction? When you are married, wonders happen. When you get diabetes, you wonder what happened. Rishi Vatsyayana in Kama Sutra clearly mentions sex is to be used, not abused. Masters and Johnson describe the male sexual response, which begins with the desire, leads to arousal, then orgasm and resolution. Diabetics get affected at all stages, desire, arousal and orgasmic stage, both in males and females. Penile erection is the most reliable and valid indicator of sexual arousal. This is a schematic diagram of a corpora smooth muscle. This is the endothelial cell, the vascular endothelial cell, which has endothelial nitric oxide synthetase. The neuronal endothelial cell has neuronal nitric oxide synthetase. This endothelial nitric oxide synthetase potentiates the nitric oxide present to come into the smooth muscle cell and convert the guanosine triphosphate into cyclic guanosine monophosphate with the help of an enzyme called guanylyl cyclase. This cyclic GMP is the potential chemical which is responsible for relaxation of the smooth muscle and allows the blood to flow in the penis and man gets erection. But soon, this cyclic GMP in a very short time gets disintegrated into 5-GMP with the help of an enzyme called phosphodiesterase 5. So, if you really want to understand the therapies of erectile dysfunction, what should we have is a normal endothelium. We should have nitric oxide in abundant quantity. We should have guanylate cyclase. We should have bioavailable cGMP for a longer time and something to block the PDE5 enzyme. So, the erection dynamics are, normal erection involves 3 synergistic and simultaneous processes. One is neurologically mediated increase in the penile artery flow, relaxation of the corpora smooth muscle, and restriction of the venous outflow from the penis. This is a the vascular spaces or the sinusoids, and these are the veins. And during erection, these veins get compressed and the man gets erection and the venous outflow is restricted. Diabetes today is a sexual health tsunami of our century. IDF says every 8 seconds a person dies of diabetes, and in the same 8 seconds, 2 develop diabetes. This 8 seconds have now reduced almost to 6 seconds. We have 382 million diabetics across the world, of which 1/3 are in India, either in diabetic or pre-diabetic stage. India is the diabetes capital of the world, closely competing with China. I then call Chindia are the diabetes capital of the world. And the commonest complication of diabetes is erectile dysfunction in men. So Chindia is the erectile dysfunction capital of the world. Friends, we have the wisdom, we have the tools. Let's make India as the diabetes care capital of the world. Erectile dysfunction is nothing else but a penile attack. And the deadly quadrant for penile attacks are either a patient is diabetic, obese, hypertensive, or dyslipidemic. Today's concept of penile attack is that penis is the barometer of endothelial health. And what does a normal endothelium do? It produces vasodilatation, produces thrombolysis, platelet disaggregation, anti-proliferation, and lipolysis. If the same endothelium gets dysfunctional, it will produce vasoconstriction, thrombosis, adhesion molecules will set in, growth factors come into play, and inflammatory cascades set in. There is an evidence that there are endothelial progenitor cells present in patients with erectile dysfunction. A phenotypic assessment of endothelial microparticles in diabetic and non-diabetic men with erectile dysfunction, the results of these studies were that diabetic patients had highest number of endothelial microparticles 31. All diabetic and non-diabetic men with erectile dysfunction had significantly high endothelial microparticles 62 more than in diabetic men. The ratio is an index of endothelial activation. So in diabetics with erectile dysfunction, the ratio was too low, and also there was an inverse relationship between FMD and the circulating endothelial microparticles. I will not go into the details of pathogenesis of erectile dysfunction, but sufficient to say that in diabetics, there is impairment of endothelial nitric oxide synthetase, which reduces the nitric oxide. There is impairment of prostanoid synthesis, which again affects the erection. There is upregulation of arginase, which again reduces the nitric oxide. There is upregulation of protein kinase C. There is impairment of potassium ATP channels, upregulation of insulin-like growth factor binding protein 3 precursor, down-regulation of estrogen beta receptor expression, upregulation of alpha-1 adrenoreceptors, and glycated hemoglobin C induced decreased nitric oxide release. And we know that advanced glycated end products which are present in diabetics thicken the media, intima media, and does not allow the blood to flow in or reduce the oxygen. And this reduced oxygen tension inhibits the erectogenic mechanism. What else goes wrong in diabetics is there are structural changes in the vascular endothelium as well as the corpora cavernosa. Why worry about ED? Is it really a boon? We have now understood that erectile dysfunction is the earliest marker of myocardial infarction. Montessori beautifully described penile artery has a diameter of 1 to 2 millimeters, coronary artery has a diameter of 3 to 4 millimeters, internal carotid diameter has 5 to 7 millimeters, and femoral artery 6 to 8 millimeters. For any symptom to develop, the cutoff should be 50% of the lumen obstruction. If the 50% of lumen in the penile artery gets obstructed, patients get erectile dysfunction. Since we know that atherosclerosis is generalized, this much of blockage of the arteries will not block 50% of the coronary artery, neither internal carotid or femoral artery. So it is sufficient now indication that when a patient gets erectile dysfunction, and we know that atherosclerosis is progressive, sooner or later these patients, if they not brought under control or given adequate therapy, will land up with either getting angina or myocardial infarction or stroke. So erectile dysfunction is the earliest marker of impending myocardial ischemia. There is a triad of erectile dysfunction, endothelial dysfunction and cardiovascular disease. We all also know the pathophysiology of vascular disease. There are risk factors which produce oxidative stress. They also affect the endothelium functionally and structurally, and the clinical sequelae is either death, myocardial infarction, stroke, ischemia, or CH. For a progression of cardiovascular disease, which begins from endothelial dysfunction, leads to clinical event. At all these stages, we found patients having erectile dysfunction. So, and erectile dysfunction precedes and is associated with severity of coronary artery disease in Asian Indians. The study done by Kumar Bhatia and Kapoor says that onset of ED preceded the symptoms of coronary artery disease by means of 2.5 years and in 84% of patients, and severe ED was associated with a 21-fold increased higher risk of having triple vessel disease. So ED is not just a lifestyle issue, there is wealth of compelling evidence that ED is a risk factor of coronary artery disease. This is a beautiful study done by my Italian friend. They studied 120 patients, of which 40 of them had arteriogenic ED, 48 of them had non-arteriogenic ED, and 32 of them had a borderline ED. Now they all did a troponin study, troponin T and troponin I, and they also did the CRP study. All these patients had ED for less than a year. So the data or the studies or the results they had, both TNT and TNI levels were normal or in the reference range, but the HSCRP values were higher in arteriogenic ED in men compared with non-arteriogenic ED, but not with the borderline ED, and suggesting that penile artery disease is there without any clinically obvious cardiovascular disease. There is another study which was done which shows the prevalence of asymptomatic coronary artery disease in men with vasculogenic erectile dysfunction, and this was a prospective study. They did angiography of 50 patients, of which 9 patients with angiographically detected coronary artery disease, 3 patients were taken up for treatment. So they concluded 1 out of 5 men with erectile dysfunction had subclinical coronary artery disease. So I conclude penile attack almost equals heart attack. Why it is a boon? Because we have at least 3 to 6 years time on the onset of erectile dysfunction to the patients getting critical events of myocardial infarction or stroke. So we have window of curability of so much time wherein we can give them a lifestyle change, we can give them medicines, and we can warn them. So why ED is a boon? Because there is a strong and independent association between ED and silent coronary artery disease in uncomplicated type 2 diabetic patients. ED may become a potential marker to identify diabetic patients to screen for silent coronary artery disease. Prevalence of erectile dysfunction seems to be quite 8-fold higher in patients than those with silent myocardial infarction. So asking for complaints of ED will be a boon. So it's a boon as we can change the lifestyle of the patients and retard the onset of critical events like myocardial infarction and stroke. So what do we do? Why these patients are important for us? The study done was for in 136,306 men, most of them were diabetics, all required second line of therapy. So they were not responding to the first line of therapy. These are the patients whom we should reach out and give help to them. How do we manage these patients? First and most important thing is we ask patients the history of allergies, surgeries done or addictions, but we must ask our patients at least one simple thing: do you have problems in making love? This is very important for you to ask. The other thing is A to I strategy. Advise him on smoking, diet and exercise, reduce their blood pressure to a level of 130/80, cholesterol and all these things should be under control, HbA1c should be less than 7, eye should be examined every year, and feet to be examined every time when they come to your clinic. Put them on guardian drugs like aspirin, ACE inhibitors or statins, work them up for heart and give them the additional drugs if they require. How do you diagnose? We have several questionnaires, but these questionnaires don't work in our setups because it takes time and patients don't answer the correct things. Additional tests we do are serum testosterone free and total, SHBG, thyroid, FSH, LH, prolactin, sonography of the scrotum and Doppler studies, serum PSA free and total, and digital rectal examination. This is the nocturnal penile tumescence rigidity test. It has a Regiscan which is attached to the thigh, and there are two electrodes, one at the tip of the penis, one at the base of the penis, and the patient is made to sleep in deep sleep. In REM sleep, every normal patient gets 4 to 5 erections which last for about 15 to 20 minutes, and these are recorded on a computer, and if these records are found, the patient is normal. But I don't advise this test because it's too cumbersome. Patients have to be admitted and it is expensive. I give them a roller of stamps which I buy from the post office free of cost. I tell them, please tie it on the shaft of your penis. If this breaks in the morning, you're normal. Psychogenic ED is very common, lots of issues, relationship problems with intimacy, depression, guilt, etc. If your patient is less than 40 years and if he gets morning erections, he is normal. He does not have any organic ED, he has psychogenic or situational ED. What are the treatment modalities available? The first line of treatment is oral therapy and counseling. Second line of therapy is injections and counseling, vacuum therapy and counseling, intraurethral drugs and counseling. Last is surgery and counseling. Emphasis on counseling has to be there. We should counsel on all psychosocial issues. What are the drugs available to us? Sildenafil is available, tadalafil is available, vardenafil, though 10 times potent, is not yet available. Udanafil is a newer drug which is available. The other fills which are there in the pipeline are avanafil, lodanafil and mirodanafil. Let us understand what are the doses to be given. The sildenafil is available as 25, 50 and 100 milligram. Tadalafil is available as 5 milligram and 20 milligram. This drug takes 60 minutes to act prior to sexual activity, and this tadalafil takes 15 minutes to 30 minutes prior to sexual activity. This is affected with food, so you should not take it after food. You have to take it prior to having your meals, at least an hour before. This is not related to any food. The mean peak time is 60 and it's 2 hours. Half-life is about 5 hours and this is 17.5 hours. The trade names of different sildenafil citrate are Edegra, Kamagra, Penegra, Viagra, Keverta, Silagra, Uplift, 11.11 pm, and they are available in doses of 25, 50 and 100. Trade names of tadalafil are Mildfil, Tadalase, Edsafe, Zydalase, Tadasep, Tazil, available as 5, 10 and 20 mg. These PDE5 inhibitors, there are 11 isomers of PDE5 which are present all over the body, and that's how we get the side effects of this PDE5 inhibitor. They do not increase the nitric oxide level, but they potentiate the nitric oxide effect. The side effects of all these PDE5 inhibitors are facial flushing, headache, nasal congestion, dizziness, dyspepsia, visual disturbance and priapism. Patients start seeing green-blue halo, there is choroidal thickness, there is non-arteritic anterior ischemic optic neuropathy. Another study done by my friend Rupak in Calcutta was the patients who were on tadalafil for a long time, they developed choroidal edema, and when they stopped it within few days, the edema subsided. There are definite contraindications for PDE5 inhibitors. If a patient has a recent cardiovascular event, he should not be given. If he is on nitrates, he should not be given. If he has hypotension or any anatomical deformity in the penis, or if he is predisposed to any of these anemias like sickle cell, multiple myeloma, the drug interactions are with nitrates, cytochrome P450 inhibitors and alpha blockers. The novel PDE5 inhibitor available today is Udanafil by the trade name Udesire from Zydalase. It's available as 100 milligram tablet. It starts its action in 1 hour. Half-life is 10 to 12 hours. Its bioavailability is very good. You can be taken any time. And the most important thing is the PD6 and the PD11 enzyme in Udanafil is much less. So the patients have less visual abnormality and less myalgia. So if your patients are experiencing any side effects of visual abnormality or myalgia with sildenafil or tadalafil, you can put them on sildenafil. How to give PD5 inhibitors? Say you have to give sildenafil. The best way to give sildenafil is you need to spend some time with your patient and tell him how to take it. You have to prescribe first of all in the optimum dose. If he is weighing about 80 to 90 kilos, please don't give him 25 mg, give him 100 mg. And tell him to take it at least an hour and a half prior to meals or prior to dinner if he is planning to have sex in the night after dinner. Once he takes this tablet, please tell him not to read Bhagavad Gita or Hanuman Chalisa. He needs to stimulate himself. He needs to think erotic. So for the next 1.5 hours, he should continue thinking erotic. And then when it's a dinner time, he should have a very light meal, not heavy meals. Because after heavy meals for the next 4-5 hours, most of the blood gets collected in the stomach and intestine to digest the food, which is a must. And in doing so, your private parts are deprived of the optimum blood you need to get a desired erection. So this is advised to be. And then continue thinking erotic even after having dinner. If he has not had sex for 6 months to 1 year or is not able to do it, he should not jump in and have sex on day 1 of taking a tablet. He should sleep with his partner, do foreplay, etc. and experience the difference. For day 1 and day 2, he should do that. Once he experiences the difference, he will get confidence which is lacking. So for first 1 or 2 days, he should not indulge into penile intercourse and he should just feel the difference, which is very important. The study which was done and was published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine, why PD5 inhibitors failed? Because 44% did not use it in the highest dose recommended. 32% used sildenafil after full stomach. 22% used it just before 5 minutes of the sexual activity. And 12% did not have any sexual stimulation when they took this tablet. Treatment should not be considered a failure until you try it for 7 to 8 times. Ensure that the patient knows that sexual stimulation is required for the drugs to be enabled to work. The side effects have to be explained and this should not be given to patients who are taking long-acting nitrates because they'll develop hypotension soon. There are many non-responders to this. So we need to optimize this therapy of sildenafil or tadalafil or sildenafil to convert these non-responders into responders. So what is the strategy? Either we give them on a chronic dosing or scheduled or daily basis. So tadalafil 20 mg was tried 3 times in a week. The bioavailability increased by 44% and this was very good effect. The best for every diabetic today is to put them on 5 milligrams of tadalafil or 10 milligrams on a long-term basis. See, most of these pills, all of these pills are anti-hypertensive drugs, but they do not reduce the blood pressure by a marginal, they just reduce by a half millimeter or 1 millimeter. But the side effect was erectile dysfunction, erections, they got erections. So these pharma companies are now marketing it for erection only. So if you give them for a long-term basis, like all hypertensive, anti-hypertensives are given for long-term basis, you can give them. And there have been enough randomized controlled trial, multicentric, to prove that tadalafil 5 mg is the best for every diabetic to be taken. So chronic therapy with PD5 inhibitors could be a valid choice. What is next? What are the new things? What is new in sex therapy we have for males? Do we have something beyond PD5 inhibitors? Yes. This guanylate cyclase activators and stimulators are the new things which will soon come in the market. We have Rho kinase inhibitors which will soon come. Injection of L-cysteine which is now tried. Intracavernosal sodium nitrate injections are there. We have extracorporeal shock wave therapy which is beautiful, non-invasive, available in India today.
In promoting cardiac angiogenesis as well as extracorporeal shockwave therapy for treatments in the field of urology, Metaspec now applies the same expertise to vascular-related erectile dysfunction with the ED1000. Applied to the penile shaft and crura, the ED1000's low-intensity shock waves result in improved blood flow and accumulation of blood in the penile corpora following sexual arousal.
The newer drug in the pipeline is Avanafil. My friend Dr. Ajay Nehra from Mayo Clinic did work on it. The advantage of this is this also can be given to patients who are on nitrates. But the only caution is these patients who take avanafil should not take nitrates on the same day. The newer drug SLX2101 is available abroad. The action is for 48 hours. Mirodanafil has lesser side effects which are available. Lodanafil carbonate is available in Brazil, 80 milligram once a day with absolutely no side effects. My friend Dr. Jyoti Dev did lot of studies on patients who were on insulin pump, and he found improvement in erectile dysfunction in most of the type 2 diabetic patients whom he prescribed insulin pump. So even Mayo Clinic now has agreed upon that early studies showed that arginine supplements help treat erectile dysfunction in men. Even local application of nitric oxide donor, which is L-arginine, is now shown to be helpful in men as well as women. In men, it improves erection. In females, it improves clitoral sensitivity, sexual arousal, and improves the sexual pleasure. We have Muse, we have cock rings available, we have vacuum devices available, we have intracorporeal injection therapies available, we have penile implants of various types. Dr. Rupin Shah's single penile implants, which is non-inflatable, has a differential rigidity with a soft tip, stiff anterior segment, flexible central segment, moderately stiff and narrow posterior. This is very economical. The total cost is 10,000 rupees for a prosthesis. But the newer prostheses which are very, very famous today and very widely used is the American AMS penile implants. This is a reservoir which contains a non-absorbable fluid which is planted in the abdomen. This is a pump which is planted in the scrotum, and these two cylindrical inflatable implants are put in the corpora spongiosa of the penis. All you have to do is, when you want an erection, press this pump. The fluid from the reservoir will come into two cylindrical inflatable implants which will get inflated, and the man will get erection till the time he wants. And when he doesn't want erection, he has to just again press this pump. The fluid from these inflatable implants goes back into the reservoir. But there are possible risks. If there is an infection or if there is any mechanical failure, the whole surgery has to be repeated. But what have we studied up till now? We have gone only for the erectogenic arousal aspect of a male sexual response. We have not considered anything about the desire part of it. That is why we all fail in treating completely our patients who are having erectile dysfunction. Because we know that until and unless he has a desire, he will not get a proper erection. So she has a desire and he does not have a desire. So what is to be done? The desire depends upon the free testosterone, which is the drive or the libido. All diabetic men are testosterone deficient. This free, out of the 100% of testosterone, albumin bound is 38%, globulin bound is 60%, and free is 20%. It is this free testosterone which is responsible for the desire. And we have age-related decrease in the testosterone much before FSH and LH rises. Testosterone replacement therapy does have benefits in sexual functions, improves mental focus, lean body mass, and improves the stamina and bone length. But it also has side effects of gynecomastia, increased blood pressure, polycythemia, acne, and benign prostatic hypertrophy. There are definite contraindications to testosterone replacement. New England Journal clearly mentions that testosterone supplementation in older men with poor functional status and high prevalence of chronic disease may result in increase in adverse cardiovascular outcomes. We have seen patients on testosterone, young patients, they develop azoospermia, which is wrong. And in older patients with morbid conditions, which always they have, we cannot give. So what is the way out? We need to give them something to improve the desire, and we need not give them a synthetic testosterone because that's what is going to give them the side effects and all. Bariatric surgery also improves the cavernosal neuronal vasorelaxation and contraction mechanism for erectile dysfunction, which is seen. Yoga helps. The best today available for all men is a film, mouth dissolving film, sildenafil film of 50 milligrams and tadalafil film for 20 milligrams. I was the principal investigator for this technology. The advantage of ODF, the orally disintegrating films, is it dissolves fast. It has gained wide popularity all across the world, and it has been approved by regulatory agencies like US FDA and MHRA. This was the article which was published in the Scholars Research Library we had. And as a principle, we studied everything. We studied the sweetening agents, the surfactants used, the selection of the plasticizers, idle polymers, coloring agents, solvent castings and tensiles, and palatability and cinch pouch. So how this is to be done? You have to just take out the film and keep it on the tongue. That's it. And it starts acting within less than 15 minutes. The advantage is that it acts within 10 minutes and the tablets act after at least 1 hour. Don't have to wait. You makes men to wait, and it feel of a mouth freshener, feel of a patient. Kamagra jelly-like tablets are available. You have liquids of sildenafil and tadalafil available, but sex is just a mirror of the rest of your relationship. She has a desire and you don't have a desire, because we are not considering desire. The world of Viagra, WebMD clearly says that 50% of men who have prescribed Viagra did not reorder because they are not vasodilators. They are just, so there exists a therapeutic gap in treating sexual response or getting a complete sexual response. So what is the answer to this? Phytochemicals and nutraceuticals have a great potential in treatment of erectile dysfunction. The most important is L-arginine, which is combined with pycnogenol, Terrestris trichuris, zinc, asparagus, vinthia, and so many other micronutrients available today. There have been enough study to prove that L-arginine has been used for erectile dysfunction, is thought to enhance the action of nitric oxide, which relaxes the muscle around the blood vessels supplying the penis. As a result, blood vessels in the penis dilate, increase the blood flow, which helps maintain it. The difference in how they work is that PDE5 inhibitors block an enzyme called PDE5, which destroys the nitric oxide, which is required to potentiate the erection mechanism, and L-arginine is used to make nitric oxide. There have been lots and lots of studies. What nitric oxide does, it increases the blood flow, it increases the tissue delivery of oxygen and nutrient, it increases the body getting rid of its toxin, it reduces the blood pressure, it reduces the risk of sudden cardiac attacks, it reduces also the asthmatic attacks. Nitric oxide expands the blood vessels by at least 26%, and we all know there is a decrease in nitric oxide as we age, and enough studies to prove that nitric oxide donor, which is arginine, helps in improving erectile dysfunction. Pycnogenol also relaxes the arteries and improves the blood flow in the penis. Lots of studies on that. The mechanism of action of this, it displaces the testosterone from bound globulin and albumin and raises the free testosterone levels to almost double. So it improves libido and it exerts significant anabolic and androgenic activity. So here, if we are giving phytonutraceuticals, you are avoiding giving them testosterone and giving them a good desire, which is required to get a good erection. So this is very important for us. The pleiotropic effect of a novel nutraceutical is that you get physiological erections. If you take sildenafil, you have to plan your acts, whereas here you don't have to plan. And there are a lot of side effects of sildenafil or tadalafil, which you don't have with these nutraceuticals. So there are no drug interactions. The products of L-arginine are E-Drive, Ignitor ED, Nanoleo, Arginex, Enlarge Fort. They are available as sachets with 3 or 5 grams of L-arginine combined with other products. These have to be taken in a glass of water once a day or twice a day, depending upon the availability, depending on the dose of L-arginine. Some have L-arginine which is 2.5 grams, so you have to take it twice a day, but minimum is 5 grams a day. What my patient spoke of, after 3 days of using sachets of arginine, pycnogenol and safed musli for 8 days, I noticed that the erection of my penis was much firmer and lasted longer. My wife is very enthusiastic about the change and she encourages me to go on. In the past, I could reach only 1 ejaculation at night. Now I can ejaculate 2 or even 3 times. After the ejaculation, the erection comes pretty early. My penile fitness has improved. The difference between sildenafil and this, you need arousal. You cannot be used by patients who are having coronary artery disease or taking nitrates. You have to plan your sex. But with L-arginine plus, you get physiological erections. The newer therapies all are regenerative therapies. We have a gene therapy is there. Adenovirus is being used to promote the therapy. There are endogenous stem cell, mesenchymal stem cell therapies used for, these are all in the research. The new thing which is now come has been published by these Swiss authorities. Scientists from Swiss Federal Institute of Technology injected rats with DNA which caused erection when the rats were exposed to just blue light. And the erections occurred in just 37 seconds. The researchers injected a light-sensitive synthetic gene called erectile optogenetic stimulator or EROS into 2 columns of spongy erectile smooth muscles of the penis or the corpora cavernosa. When the researcher bathed the rats in blue light, it kick-started gonadal cyclase to produce surge cyclic GMP, and the rats got erection in 37 seconds. Another study from Switzerland, from blue pill to blue light. Martin Fusing, a professor of biotechnology and bioengineering at the Department of Biosystems, have now developed a novel biotechnological solution, a gene therapy that triggers reliable erections. A gene construct that reacts to blue light is injected in the erectile tissue of the penis. As soon as it is exposed to the light, a precursor molecule GTP is converted into a second messenger CGMP, which exists naturally in a number of human organs. This allows voltage dependent calcium channels to close, thereby reducing the calcium levels in the cell, which in turn relaxes the smooth muscle and increases the blood flow. The production of CGMP is not stimulated by sexual arousal, but by exposure of erectile tissue to blue light. In this way, we circumvent usual sexual stimulation that triggers a cascade of signals in the body, ultimately leads to an erection. So instead of getting aroused or thinking erotic, now you can have just blue light in your bedroom and you can get aroused. The latest which is now available in treatment of erectile dysfunction is nanotechnology. The primary areas of research were topical delivery of the drugs for on-demand erectile function, injectable gels into the penis to prevent morphology changes post-prostatectomy, hydrogels to promote cavernous nerve regeneration or neuroprotection, encapsulation of drugs to increase erection. The purpose of nanotechnology is not to give you side effects or not to give any painful episode or any other things which occur with most of the tablets or pumps or surgery. The first study which was done to determine if nanoparticles which encapsulate known erectogenic agents like tadalafil, cyclosporin or nitric oxide improve erectile function after transdermal delivery. The goal was to avoid side effects like headache, facial flushing, nasal congestion and dyspepsia. So the results were, with nitric oxide they got erection in 1.5 minutes almost. With cyclosporin they got erections in 8 minutes but continued. With tadalafil there was a significant increase after 1 hour. So nanotherapy is going to be a wonderful therapy for us because this will not give us any side effects. We'll deliver the drug to promote erection and least side effects. My concept is, do we consider erectile dysfunction as a symptom or we consider it to be as a disease? If you consider erectile dysfunction as a symptom, then you need erection on demand, for which pharmacotherapy is a must. But if you consider erectile dysfunction to be a disease, you need permanent modification of the natural cause of the disease, the end of the spectrum be cure, for which you need regenerative medicines or phytonutraceuticals. So what is the pharmacotherapy we have? Sildenafil, tadalafil, udinafil, S-film and T-film today. The things which are in the pipeline are avanafil, lodanafil, mirodanafil and SLX201. And if for regenerative therapy, we have phytonutraceuticals, we have extracorporeal shockwave therapy, we have gene therapy, we have mesenchymal stem cell therapy and nanoparticles. So the ideal prescription for a diabetic having ED is you put them on OHA and insulin whatever are their sugar levels, this need to be controlled. You should also put them on statins. And amongst the antihypertensives, if they have, you could use ARBs, nebivolol if you have to give them a beta blocker, and if you have to give them diuretic, give them indapamide. These three are having less sexual dysfunctions compared to the other antihypertensives which also produce erectile dysfunction. Aspirin, a low dose of tadalafil 5 mg, and if he wants to have sex, he can take 10 mg more on the day of having sex. You give them L-arginine and also low dose of testosterone if needed, if their free testosterone is very low. For intimacy, you also need mind and body strategies to have good sexual pleasure. What women can do for these patients, they have to regard him as a hero and never give him any pressures to perform. Touch improves good health and intimacy. So the key to giving good sexual health is improve your metabolic balance, that is control obesity, dyslipidemia, hypertension and type 2 diabetes, which is the first thing which we all should do. Do lifestyle modification, avoid smoking, do workouts, don't make your stomach a waste paper basket. Jainism says, kam khao, gum khao, nam jao. So beautiful. Love each other unconditionally. You are partners of life. Increase the romance, bring in harmony. Sex is not about reproduction or recreation. It's all about relationship in life. Friends, life is nothing else but a sexually transmitted gift with 100% mortality. So what erectile dysfunction does affect on an individual level, also to the partner, and it does affect the relationship. Ask your patients to have realistic expectations. So when you are married, do wonders happen? And when you get diabetes, don't wonder what happened. Because today, for erectile dysfunction, we have so many things in our armamentarium. This should not be a symptom which cannot be cured. Friends, diabetes is not an option, not for anyone. It's how gracefully we handle the process and how lucky we are as the process handles us. My serious plea to all is ask your patients for erectile dysfunction. It's a harbinger of death. PDE5 inhibitors are not a panacea. We are aware of its impact. We have the wisdom. We have the tools. We must act now. ED is endothelial dysfunction. Early diagnosis prevents early death. Low dose of PDE5 inhibitors, statins and phytonutraceuticals are safer options. Gene and stem cell therapy shall be a great promise. Thank you all for your love.
Thank you, sir, for that very exhaustive talk. And you presented a lot of data, which we are sure is new for many of us.
I know.
And one thing, sir, the demand for blue lights are going to increase now.
Yes. In your consulting rooms also you can keep blue lights. It's nice. That's how blue films, why you call blue films? I was wondering when I read this, I said, that's why they call blue films. So how did they study? And how did this idea came into them that blue light will produce erections?
So what is the mechanism? How does blue work?
I don't know. That's what the researchers did, and the study which is there, I have just put it, and it's published.
And you restored the balance. It was unifocal only on PDE5, and you have certainly enlarged the field to a much wider dimension.
Yeah, because there are so many things today available,
So it
and
is,
best today is the films, because after taking sildenafil, you have to wait for 1.5 hours. Taking tadalafil, you have to wait for 2 hours. Films, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You don't have time. And you can keep the films in your pocket, Tablets and all people will see. You can keep it in your purse. It's a small packet, small strip. You can keep it anywhere. Nobody will know whether you're using it or not, because many a times your wife see, oh, he's taking a tablet and all that. So, huh? No, you can't. You can keep the film. Cost of this film, 39 rupees. Either of it. It's available by Delvin Formulations from Chennai.
Sir, it's a wonderful talk. And last year you talked about depoxitin and all. Not
Yeah, depoxitin is used for premature ejaculation, not for erectile dysfunction. The topic here was erectile dysfunction. Yeah.
So
ED occurs only in males, no?
So it has been known. So it has been known for some time that these phytopharmaceuticals are the largest selling segment, largest rising segment, means in terms of increase per year in United States. So
Yeah, they are. Pfizer made a bulk of money when they introduced Viagra, but now 50% of the sales of Viagra have reduced because they have found that these are not vasodilators. They do not increase the desire. They are not good for improving the relationships. Because unless you don't increase your desire, you don't increase your free testosterone, you're not completing the complete male sexual response which is needed for having a satisfying sex.
So, but in some of these discussions, they say that the real mechanism of action of many of these phytopharmaceuticals are not really fully understood.
No, with L-arginine, there are a lot of studies. In fact, the person who discovered L-arginine got a Nobel Prize, Dr. Louis Ignarro. He tried in cardiovascular patients, it had a fantastic result, and that's how he got a gold medal, Nobel Prize. And it is available over the counter. It's US FDA approved. Anything which is available over the counter is safe.
Okay, sir, you have certainly created the awareness about the need to manage this
Dr.
problem.
Jyoti, they wanted therapy to be stressed, so I stressed more on therapy with trade names, etc., though I'm not supposed to.
And
But I
thanks
did.
to Jyoti for doing this session. I'm sure this session has become rather more popular as years go, as with each
Thank you.
convention.
Thank you very much.